What do you like better, business or real estate?
Well, the last 4 or 5 years, I probably like real estate better. But with business, you can make big money right away. Like my businesses all make 20, 30, 40, 50,000, some of the good ones, in hundreds of thousands a month.
What do you think is the number one skill a business needs?
The number one skill is...
What's up, wealth builders? Today, I've got someone who's been on before, and the episode crushed it. We talked about how to buy businesses, how you could start a ton of different things. This dude was doing axe throwing, escape rooms. He just bought a tree service company, and he's about to go into the service-based buying business. He's also in real estate, lending money. This dude's doing it all. I got Abraham Gray. What's up?
What's going on? Good to be back.
Yeah. We were both really surprised how well the first one did, so I knew we had to run it back, baby.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like, I watched. I was like, damn, this one did a lot better than I expected.
Yeah. So give people some quick feedback about who you are who didn't see that episode.
Yeah, so Abraham Gray, I am 49 now, and I started my first business when I was 15. I made a lot of money in my teens, saved $1 million by the time I was 19. And then
That's crazy.
Yeah, and this is back in 1990. So,
that's the craziest part. You had $1 million cash.
$1 million cash. I never blew money. I always saved it, reinvested it. And then just went from business to business, got into a lot of fad type businesses, just stuff that was hot at the time. Made $10 million, $50 million, more and more. And then eventually, started buying real estate back in 1998. Right now I have over 220 properties, close to 300 doors that I keep long-term. Yep. I do tons of fix and flips, do a lot of lending. That's pretty much what it is. I'm always looking for more businesses. Business has been my, my passion ever since I was 15.
Yeah. What do you like better, business or real estate?
Well, the last 4 or 5 years, I probably like real estate better, but besides those last 4 or 5 years, I would say I probably like business better. I'm going to eventually probably like business better again because business is, you can just make so much more money so much faster in business. My average, property right now, my fix and flip's probably making in the $30,000 range.
Yeah.
My average, but it's a lot of work every time you do it. You have to recreate it every time.
Yeah.
My average buy and hold, is making a few $100 a month. I have a lot of them, so it adds up. But it's a grind, The way you make a ton of money on buy and holds is not really by owning them and cash flowing. You make a lot of money when you sell them.
Yep.
That's how I made all my money on all my buy and holds. Luckily, I've had stuff since 1998. As I sell them, that's where I make the big money. But with business, you can make big money right away. Like my businesses all make 20, 30, 40, 50,000, some of the good ones, in the hundreds of thousands a month. And you can just do that over and over and over. And once you have everything in place, it's not a grind anymore. It just keeps going. You have other people in charge.
Yeah. So what are some of the businesses in your portfolio right now?
So right now, like you said, I have a whole bunch of escape rooms still, a lot of axe throwing companies. I have putt-putt golf place. I have a whole bunch of trophy stores, 6 different trophy stores, engraving. I have a bunch of different real estate businesses, tree company. I have a whole lot of martial art gyms, arts and crafts studios. It's kind of like a little bit all over the place, but I am going to start focusing a lot on home service stuff.
Yeah.
So next year you're going to see me acquire a lot of home service stuff. I have a lot of crews that work for me full time with my fix and flips, and when I'm not using them, I have them do other stuff. But we could do painting, really anything, flooring.
Yeah. So would you say that's more like a GC?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna buy exact businesses that only do fences or only do landscaping or only do paint, and I'll have HVAC companies. So I'll basically accumulate a whole lot. That's kind of my game plan for
Are you gonna do it everywhere or just in Atlanta?
I'm gonna start off just doing it in Atlanta because it's really easy for me. I'm there. I have all my connections, all my people there. But potentially down the road, I have partners in other places. It might make sense to grow it to other cities.
Got it. So are most of your businesses in Atlanta or?
So actually, no. Most of the businesses that I've acquired lately and that I am actually in charge of, I would say yes, are in Atlanta. But I have lots of partners in a lot of my businesses. I would say 90+% of my businesses, I have partners. And I have the businesses where my partners are. So I have businesses in Kansas City, I have Chicago, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida, really all over, Arizona.
So what's your role? If they're over there operating, what did you do in the deal? Yeah.
So my role is always to find the deals, underwrite them, negotiate them, and talk to the sellers, work out the how we're going to do it, because I don't pay cash for anything. I always get good creative deals. So I work out all that, the terms and everything, and then once I have that done, my partner usually handles the operations, and he's not really in the locations, but he is in charge of the managers. And then a lot of times I have a third partner and that will handle like accounting, marketing, anything legal, stuff like that. So it's broken up just based on who my partner is and what they're good at.
Okay. So would you say most of those businesses you bought them or you built?
So all like the trendy fad stuff, I built most of that, and I bought some competitors at some point. But most of I would say every business I have that's not like a fad or a trend or something like new, I bought all those. It's really stupid to start a business, honestly, unless it's something that you see doesn't exist and is doing really well in other cities, other states, other countries. Then those are worth trying. But besides that, you should definitely buy someone's business.
Yeah. Like I've done a lot of different businesses and I've actually just always started them. Yeah. But, I'm in a kind of a different boat with brand and online and stuff like that. But yeah, the more I've thought about it, it's like, it's interesting because I separate real estate and normal business, right? Because with real estate, it's like, you don't really need to buy a business. Like it's just anyone can start today and start your business. Whereas everything else, like, you want a home service company? Well, it's hard to go get those clients, to get the people, the equipment. Like you're just so much more fast track buying it versus, like with real estate, back to that, it's like you don't need anything.
Right. Exactly. So all the businesses that I didn't start that, it's real estate related. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to buy somebody else's wholesale business. You can start your own. Like, what are you buying exactly? Yep. What you have is incredible. Like you can't buy that off someone. I mean, this is your brand. This is, your program, everything else. That's something that you got to be good at. You got to be smart. You got to know what you're doing. Yeah. And this is why you would start it.
Right. So why home services? Why is that the next arena?
I like home services a lot because I think that it's always going to be needed. No matter what, people live in a house or rent a house, and everyone needs stuff fixed all the time. When the economy is really good, people are building tons of homes, so that's needed. Plus, because I'm in real estate, I could use those companies to save me money on my own stuff. So I could give these new companies I buy a lot of business, and vice versa. I could now potentially cut some costs because I have a business that can do it on a larger scale.
So what do you think is like the most lucrative business you currently own?
It changes, based on the economy and stuff. But, for a long time, it was my entertainment stuff. The axe throwing and escape rooms were making like crazy money. I mean, I had months where each location was making a minimum 50,000 to 150,000 profit, like each location. And I had 17, axe throwing, 16 escape rooms. So that's, a lot. But after COVID, that kind of came down a lot. And then some of that real estate stuff picked up and was doing a lot better. But, if you count the lending as a business, I would say the lending's probably making the most now. That makes like a lot of money. It's so needed. And it's I set such a good system together in place that it works really well, and I can have somebody else run it all.
So explain the lending business, how it works.
Yeah, the lending business, basically I'm lending money to people that need money for fix and flips.
Right.
So anyone that's buying fix and flips, it's instead of going to a hard money lender, I'm basically a private money lender, and I loan to everyone in Georgia, mostly Atlanta, but definitely anywhere in Georgia. And I am loaning them at, let's say, 18% annually, and I'm paying my investors or using my own money. And if I'm paying investors, I'm paying them 10, 12%. So I'm making 50, 65% on every loan, and the people keep the loans going. And I buy so many fix and flips in Atlanta every single month that I know the market better than anyone.
Right.
And I know what I can lend. So I lend the amount that I know if someone doesn't pay me, I'm more than happy to take the property back, and then I'll fix and flip it myself. So my default rate's like almost nothing. I've probably done a few thousand loans over the last 5 years. And I've only had to actually foreclose and take over 2 properties. But when I took them over, I ended up making an extra 25, 30.
You made more.
Oh yeah, I made more. I've started the foreclosure process probably, I don't know, maybe like 15, 20 times. But all the other times people came up with the money before the foreclosure or sold me the house or something. They have too much equity. And I know what the homes are worth. You loan them the right amount, they're gonna pay you.
What's your usual loan to value ratio?
80%. So I'm paying in Atlanta 80% minus like rehab. So if a home is worth 100,000, fixed up and it needs 50,000 to get it ready. So I'm basing it as is at 50,000, and then I'm taking 80% of that. So I'll loan like 40,000, let's say, on something like that, using small numbers to make it easy.
Yeah. So how would they get the rehab costs? They got to cover that.
So most of the people that I lend to have some money. So they use their own money for rehab, or they get a second position loan.
Got it.
But you don't want to lend to people that are flat broke. That's where you're going to have problems. So most of the people I lend to want to just do multiple rehabs at a time. So they have enough money to do one or two maybe with their own money, but they want to do 6. So, they use their money for the rehab, and then I'm funding all that's the typical lender that I loan to.
Right. That makes sense. So, I mean, you did a lot of trends.
Yes.
Over the years. I remember you telling me like you killed it with gold.
That was my biggest.
That was your first business.
Yeah. It was my first. It was my biggest.
Yeah. Tell people about that. That was a funny story.
Yeah. Gold's crazy. So the story on that, I was first in baseball cards and got into Beanie Babies and got into Pogs and got into Power Rangers and the Webkins and all these different things that were super hot. But I always stayed in contact with all the people that I dealt with all over the country. And one of my buddies is like, man, we did Beanie Babies together and all this stuff, but like I'm getting into gold and I've been crushing it. This is back in like 2006 or something. And he said, man, gold was $300 an ounce, like literally a few months ago. Now it's $700 an ounce. It's crazy. It over doubled. I've been setting up at these hotels, putting up ads in the newspaper to come to these roadshow events.
Right.
And I've had people lined up. I've been buying their gold for 30 cents on the dollar. I'm buying tens and tens of thousands of dollars each day. I'm like, come here, let me show you what it's like. And you should do the same thing, all over wherever you can do it. So he was doing it in New Jersey at the time. So I flew there. I was like, holy crap, this guy bought like $100,000 worth of gold. He was making a few $100,000 a weekend.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm sold. I don't know anything about it. He taught me a little bit. And, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to like reinvent the wheel every single weekend, like, and have to go to different hotels and put new, ads in every newspaper. Is expensive. Why don't I just get like a store and have people come right to the store, and I could advertise to the same store over and over? He's like, yeah, I mean, I never thought about that, but you can do it. So that's what I did. And I was probably the first one in the country that had We Buy Gold stores. Now there were pawn shops and there were jewelry stores, but nobody had just a store that had a table and We Buy Gold, and that's all they did. So I started that. Within the first like month, people were just coming in and I was crushing it. And I went from like 1 store to 2 stores to like.
So how much were you paying per ounce and then selling it for?
I mean, I was paying about 30 to 35 cents on the dollar for it.
Yeah.
But people were happy. First off, most people bought gold when it was $300 an ounce or less at the time.
Now, when we're talking about gold, are they selling like their necklace or bars? Like, what are they doing?
Mostly necklaces and rings and bracelets. And
do you like melt them?
Yeah. So first off, you have to figure out what carat they are. So there's 10 carat, 14, 18, so on and so forth. 24 carat's pure gold. If something is 24 carat, there's nothing in it but gold. Anything that's less than 24 carat is mixed with other metals. So like 14 carat is 58.3% gold. How do I know that? You take the carat and divide it by 24, and that's the percentage of gold that's in there.
Right.
So what you do is you figure out what carat it is, and then you pay based on that. But after I bought everything, I would send it to a refinery. They would melt it all, give me a test of what how much gold actually is in there, and then they'd pay me on it. And literally, at one point, I was sending like tens of millions of dollars of gold every single month to these refineries. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
How did you get all the capital to be able to buy tens of millions of dollars of gold?
Yeah. So, like I said, I made and saved $1 million by the time I was 19. And then that was in baseball cards. So I made a lot of money in baseball cards when I was younger. Then I got into Beanie Babies, and I ended up making over $10 million in Beanie Babies, saved it all. So this was, the next 5-10 years. And then gold came a little bit after that. So I already had, at least $10-20 million to work with when the gold came. I had a partner, and he also had the same amount of money. So we had a decent amount of money. We started with the gold. After like a year or two, we were doing so well. Our financials were great. We went to a couple of banks. Chase was one of them, Chase Bank, and they gave us a $20 million line of credit on top of what we had. So we had plenty of money. We didn't need $100 million to buy, because we were able to melt it every single week. So we would turn it over and over.
Yeah, you turn your cash quick.
Yeah, we turn it over. But we had a lot of money. But if we didn't have money, I could have got investors. I could have went to some banks. I would have had to figure out a way to turn the money faster, something.
I mean, speaking of money, I want to go back. I'll go back to the gold here in a second, but I was talking to one of my other friends who does hard money lending.
Yeah.
And, you know, most guys who do hard money lending, they're raising capital from other people or they're getting warehouse lines and all that stuff. And I was asking him, like, so what do you do? He's like, you know, I do a mix, right? I mean, it just depends on demand. But he's like, I always have my own money out there.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know of any other investment that's as safe for a lender that gets, you know, 15% returns that, you know, you're still in control of and you understand. Is that how you feel about it too?
100%. Especially if you do it in the right states. The states that you lend in is very important. So some states you could foreclose in a month or two. Some states it takes 6 months. Some months takes over a year. I want to be in a state that I can foreclose pretty fast. Georgia is the fastest, and I happen to be there. I know the market, so it works out perfect. So it takes 30 days. You have to put when you foreclose on someone, you have to put it in the paper, the local paper, for 30 days. There's 159 counties in Georgia, I believe, and every county has their own newspaper. So you put it in the newspaper for 30 days, the local county newspaper that you're going to foreclose, and then the first Tuesday of every single month after that 30 days, you can foreclose. So if you time it perfectly, it could be 31 days. If you don't time it great, it could be 60 days. But you could always sell that property pretty fast. So I like Georgia because of that. There's a lot of other states that are similar. I wouldn't pick a state that takes forever. The other really good thing about Georgia is there's something called usury laws. That's like how much you're allowed to charge somebody.
Got it.
So Georgia has also a very high usury limit. It's 60% a year. I don't charge anywhere near that. I charge like 18 to 24, but you could charge 60. So there's a lot of states that have 18% usury laws. And, if you start charging people points and all this kind of stuff, they count that in the interest, so you want to be in the right states that are fast to foreclose, hot markets, good usury laws, good foreclosure laws. So yeah, if you're in those type of markets, I think you're safe. If you go to New York or places like California or Washington, I think it might not be the best business.
Did you ever have a payday loan place?
I never
that
had
seems like something you would do.
I never had Payday, but I had good friends that did it. More car titles.
Got it.
Title, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really big in
Buy
Georgia.
now, pay later.
Yeah, that's big. Like some states it's huge and some states it's not allowed, but Georgia is really big. So I know a lot of people that made a fortune in that.
Yeah. What about, did you ever think about pawn shops and stuff?
Yeah, I actually was partners with someone in a pawn shop. So I've had pawn shops. And I've also
I'm just thinking about all the weird things you'd see downtown.
Yeah. I invested in a lot of pawn shops. I would basically give them money to loan out. So
what do you think about those businesses today? Like the payday loans, pawn shops?
they're great.
Yeah, they always kill it.
They kill it. Yeah. I don't know anyone that doesn't do good unless you just don't know what you're doing. I mean, in any single business, the best people in every business are going to kill it. But you could be in the best business and not know what you're doing. You're going to lose your ass. It's like, there's always these idiots that don't know what they're doing. But if you learn from someone that knows what they're doing, you should do good.
Yeah, it sounds like to me. So back to the gold, right? You guys were killing it with gold. And then what happened? I forgot.
So 2006, 7 is where we started, and it lasted like 7 years. And 2011 was our biggest year. That was the year I made the most money. It was crazy. Like gold hit a record high of, I think, like almost $1,800 an ounce. It's higher now, which is unbelievable. But at the time, that was like insane, $1,800 an ounce. And we just had lines out the door, people trying to sell gold. We're in a recession, everything. Everybody just needed money, and gold was at the highest ever, and people were selling it for 30% of what it was worth and doubling their money because they bought it when it was, less than 10% of what it was worth at the time. So it was just a crazy business where we were doing great, and then in 2012, gold started to like level off or started to go down. So as gold started to go down and the economy got better, the business just started to not do as good. And I actually had a big company that was supposed to buy my whole business, and it was like $125 million sale.
Yeah.
And I started like about a year too late. And as we were about to close, they just saw the market starting to drop, so they backed out. And I ended up selling a lot of my locations one-off to like a lot of my managers or friends or different people. But yeah,
it wasn't close to what you could have did.
No, it was like peanuts, not even 1%. But I made the money when I was in it, operating it.
Yeah, made a lot of active income.
Yeah,
during that time.
It was a great business. If my timing was a little bit better, I would have made another $100 and some million. But
it sounds to me like you got started with all the trendy stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
gold and Beanie Babies and cards and all this stuff. And then I know you eventually got into the axe throwing, the escape rooms before everyone, they got popular. But to me now, it seems like you're kind of just not following the trends anymore. You're kind of just getting boring.
Yeah. So the reason why is because when I was younger, I was just more aggressive. I had a lot more time, more energy. I'm getting older now. And I mean, it's just true. I don't have the time and I'm not as
hungry.
Yeah, I'm not as hungry. So now I'm just going after the stuff that I know is gonna last for a long time.
Safer stuff.
I'm not gonna hit any like one home run, but I could buy enough to where they'll be better than the home runs from before.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever hit anything like that gold business. That was crazy. But I think I could, just grow now in quantity and just have a lot of solid good stuff.
But let's talk about like a trend business, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. You and I are both just entrepreneurs. We just love trying new things. And it's interesting, like thinking about trending businesses, because when most people start a business, you think it's going to be like forever. You're like, oh yeah, dude, I'm going to be in the gold business forever. But the thing I realized was like every business has an end at some point. It's either going to get sold, it's either going to just shut down because it's no longer relevant, or, it just wasn't successful, right?
Or you have a big competitor come that takes over your share.
Yeah, like it is like, odds are your business is going to die from competition, the economy, something happening, or best case, you have an exit and whatever. But the odds of like just keeping it forever are like slim.
Very slim.
So how do you go about that as an entrepreneur, knowing that, hey, I'm going to start this thing, I'm going to buy this thing, but, probably not going to be a forever type thing?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was younger, every single business that I started, I was like, all right, if this lasts a year, I'm great, because I know I can make a lot of money in a year. And then they started lasting like 3 years, 5 years, some 7 years. I was like, holy crap, So I never kind of go into something thinking it's gonna last forever.
I know most people do, though.
Yeah, most people do. So I mean, as long as they have a good exit strategy, or if the reason it doesn't last forever is because they sell it and have a good exit, then great. If the reason is because it starts going down, they start losing money, they need to understand to see the writing on the wall and be able to get rid of it before they start sinking money into it. A lot of my friends that are not successful, it's because they were successful at some point. They had this business and they got really attached to this business. Yeah. And they didn't understand to just let it go when it started to drop. They just kept sinking more and more money into it, trying to turn it around. Yeah. And they lost all their money. They made a lot of money when it was good, but they couldn't. Again, you can't get attached. That's a big problem. So you have to see the writing on the wall, not get attached, and understand when to get rid of it, whether it's to sell it, whether it's to shut it down, or whatever else the exit strategy is.
Yeah. How many businesses do you think you've had to like just shut down for various reasons?
Oh, I've had plenty. I mean, I've definitely shut down hundreds of businesses.
Hundreds?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'd rather I want to make as much money as I can when I have it, but I don't want to lose a lot on the exit. So, every time I sign new leases, I have like really good kick-out clauses, or buyouts, or something, or not personally guarantee them, or something to where if the business is gone, I can't get hurt too bad. But I also have an exit strategy of if I want to sell it. Is it something that's good to sell to a competitor? Is it something that's good to sell to an employee? Or all these different things I think about on all these businesses, before I get into them.
Yeah, and that's just a big point I want people to know is like there's no shame in failing or shutting down a business. It's like it's just part of it.
Yeah, I look at business like poker. You play poker at all?
Yep.
Okay, so I do a whole lot of businesses when I was younger. I would research and start 5 or 10 businesses at a time. I would. And you know what? 10% of them worked. 20% if I was lucky worked. Yeah. But what's cool is I would get rid of the 8 or 9 that didn't work. And the one that worked, I would blow it up, right? I would just make all the money on it. So similar like poker. On poker, you could win 20% of the hands you play and take everyone's money. Yeah. You don't have to win 80%. No. You just have to know on those 80%. How to fold. That's it. Yeah. That's all it is. It's exactly what business is. You got to know when you have a shitty business or a shitty plan or whatever it is, get rid of it. And then when you have something good, just like grow it like crazy. That's the other problem. A lot of people have good businesses and they just keep that one location.
They're not doubling down.
They don't double down. Like if you have something good, like you could who knows how big you can be, And that's
that was like you and the gold.
Yeah.
You did one, and you're like, holy moly, this is
Holy
like
moly,
crazy.
yeah. I went from one to, I had over 300 throughout the country.
300
stores, yeah. 300. Wow. I had them all over. And same thing with all these other businesses. They did good. I started with one location, and I blow it up. When I start a business, one of the things I look at is how easy is it going to be for me to grow if it does good? Can I, expand and make a lot more of them? That's an important thing, because I don't just do one business to have one business. I do it to see if I could just blow it up if it does good.
Yeah. What's funny is, it's very rare to be able to run multiple businesses at once for most people, right? Like, it's hard enough to get one, like you said. And like my experience has been that I haven't been an entrepreneur as long as you. I didn't have $1 million by 19, slinging baseball cards, but I was playing baseball actually.
Yeah.
So my card it wasn't worth much. So, I think I was super just fortunate and lucky in that, like, my first 5 businesses hit. I was 100% success. I'm like, damn, everything I touch turns to gold. This is crazy. And then I had a bunch of businesses flop, and I'm like, maybe I'm not as good as I thought. And then you just kind of like get a full picture of hindsight, and you're like, yeah, it makes sense. It's still like, if I look at my track record, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm still like above 50%, which is crazy in the grand scheme of things, because most people are going to be, like you said, 10, 20% if they're lucky.
For sure.
And it's hard to cut losses, especially because it's just an ego thing. It's painful. It's like people are going to get pissed. People are going to lose jobs. Customers will get mad at you. Like, it is painful to shut down things, and, you could take a reputational hit, and I've had to deal with that. But even for me as an entrepreneur, when I've known it's time and I can see the writing on the wall, I'm like, this doesn't have a future. We're going to have to just shut it down and deal with the repercussions.
Yeah. And some of these types of businesses, it just makes sense to shut it down. But some, it makes sense to tweak it and change it to something else. That's also like what a lot of successful companies have done. And again, some of the really successful companies that didn't do that went out of business. Obviously, like people like Blockbuster and all these types of businesses that we know. So you could take a bad business and just tweak a few things, and all of a sudden it becomes a good business.
Yeah, that's true too. And I think, like, even a business that you've had for a while has to constantly be tweaked. Like, I mean, you've been flipping houses for a long time. It's like how you're getting deals is changing every year.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy different.
And then even when I look at, I've had an education business now for 7 years, and I just look at how much it changes every year to stay relevant and to stay out there. And I'm like, yeah, it's not like, a service-based business where it's pretty stable about what you do. You paint houses.
Yeah.
There's not much creativity to it.
Yeah. But even in painting, I'm sure they come out with different paints and different brushes and different, who knows? There's going to be an AI painter soon, I'm sure. But like that's going to come up probably at some point.
Yeah. Speaking of trends, I'm sure you've been thinking about, man, what's an AI opportunity?
Yeah. I'm not a very good tech person. I'm very not super smart in tech. I always have people that do all that for me, but I'm always thinking about what can be done with certain businesses and just have someone that's smart, come in and put it into play. But for sure, I see AI and just the internet and all these things, like someone that's going to be the super wealthiest person at some point in the next 10, 20, 30 years, it's going to be from that.
Yeah. What do you see as some like emerging potential trends in business?
I don't have any like particular trends right now because the economy is so weird. With the president it's changing, and with recession and this and that, it could go any direction. I would say I'll have a much better picture like in the next year of what happens. We'll know who's president next month. We'll know. We'll see what happens with interest rates. We'll see what happens with all these different things. That's going to affect what is more trendy or not. What if people have extra money to spend? When the economy is really good, this entertainment stuff was killing it. But then once the economy, kind of tanks, people don't have that extra money. So it's going to depend on how the economy looks over the next year or so. And there's a lot of things right now that's happening that's going to drastically change, the outcome.
You know what really even helped me withstand this recession the last couple of years was having multiple things, because some things were doing good, other things weren't, and then they just kind of even themselves out. And what do you have to say about that? Because you've been through different cycles and everything.
I think it's really important to have a bunch of different things and diversify. But I also think it's not good to have too many things.
Right.
I think having like 3 different things is good. I think having one thing is a little bit risky, but you don't need to have 10 or 20 things. You don't have to.
But I think for everyone listening though, like having 3 things once, like one is actually good.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Or do you think that people should start 3 things at once who have no success?
Yeah, I think doing 3 things at once is okay, but you've got to see which of the 3 is doing the best and go all in on that one.
Right.
And the other ones just kind of like see what happens and see if it's worth keeping them. But I mean, literally, you've got to try multiple things, because if you try just one thing, who knows? So
yeah,
you've got to try some different things, and you should put money into, whatever you're good at, whether it's business, whether it's real estate, whether it's trading, but ultimately everyone's going to be best at one thing.
Yeah.
But you should have like a little bit of diversification. I see some people talk about having major diversification, which I think is bad, because then you just don't know enough about anything. But I think having a little bit of diversification is good.
Got it. So what would you say about the recession? Like, do you think it's easier to make money during the downturn or during good times? What would you say?
I think for people that are wealthy, or not even wealthy, but just people that have some money, I think could make a lot more money in a downturn. So I look back at when I made the most amount of money I made, and crazy enough, it's always been during bad economies. Like, I've made the most money during bad economies because money's worth so much more. So if you have money, cash is king in a bad economy.
Yeah.
If you have cash or could raise cash, you could just make so much money. When the economy is good, you still make a lot of money, but everyone can make money. So
do you think that, so when you talk about the bad economy, like literally during the bad times, or coming out of the bad times when everyone's wounded?
a little bit of both.
Got it.
A little bit of both. So
Because like that's where I think we are now.
Yeah.
We're like coming out of this time.
So for example, for both your what you just said, the gold business that I had, it was the absolute worst economy. I mean, everything was like horrible. It was 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? It was the worst. I was making more money during that time than anybody because I had so much money. I was able to, buy people's whatever
for nothing.
For nothing, and they were happy selling it. And I was able to sell it right away and make all that money right away. If it was a great economy, I still could have made money, but nowhere near. People wouldn't have sold as much. So that's a way during a bad economy where someone that has money could buy something from someone and sell it to someone else and make a lot of money. But the way you make a lot of money long-term in a bad economy is, let's just say you're not good at buying and selling stuff, but you have a lot of extra money. Well, what happens in a bad economy? Real estate drops, things drop. So you could now take your money and buy a whole lot of stuff for really cheap, 10, 20 cents on the dollar. And then you might not be able to sell it right now because it's a bad economy. But 5, 8 years from now, you might get 10 times what it's worth. And that's how you can make a lot of money. So you can make money both ways, like right when it's bad, or buying it and just waiting a little time and then making that money later.
What about for somebody who doesn't have money?
For someone that doesn't have money, you are definitely, if you're smart and you have good contacts and you could show someone a good plan of how they could make money with it, it's amazing how many people that everybody knows has tons of money that you can get. So I just know over the last few years, I have a few people that I showed how to do this lending thing, and they have no money and they're young. Some of them were teenagers, 19, 20, 21. I have people that raised $10, $15 million, like 19 years old, 20 years old.
Crazy.
That just showed people a proof of concept of, look, this is how I'm going to make money for you. This is how much you're going to make. And if you could show somebody that this is a good investment and this is how I'm going to make money. Now you have to have a good idea or a good plan or, some sort of proof. But if you are smart enough to come up with this, and anyone could, if you have the time and, that's what you want to do. Now you just got to find the people, and everyone has people that are rich that they know. Yeah. And, if they are convinced that it's a good deal, they'll invest with you.
Right. So you're basically saying, if this is what I hear actually, is that if it's a recession, cash is king. So you should be in a business where cash gets utilized and needed, right? People need cash for gold. People need cash to invest in, and give loans and all these things. Because I think about the other businesses where that's not their business. Let's just take entertainment, like you said, right? Yeah. In my mind, in a recession, there's nothing an entertainment company can really do. Yeah. It just is what it is.
Right. So you've got to pivot. Instead of being just an entertainment company, You've got to, find companies that are doing well and try to see if, they could use your space and use event spaces, do different types of things like that. Because when the economy goes bad, a lot of event facilities go out of business because they're only doing events. But if you could now do entertainment and add events, that could be a way to pivot. Or again, you got to figure out what type of use you can use for that space when you are slow and figure out ways to make extra money on it. But in general, if you have a lot of entertainment, you're going to get hurt. Like there's no way to, account for all the lost revenue. But
it's like realtors the last 2 years. It's like there's just so much less transaction volume.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is.
Yeah, but the best realtors are making more money than ever.
Right.
You just got to be the best. You got to be the best.
So
at
it basically
what you do.
becomes you better be the best in a bad economy.
Oh, it's better than anything. 2021, 22. I don't care who you were. If you were in the real estate business, a
You made some
wholesaler,
money.
I don't think you could lose money no matter what you did, right? I think you could be the dumbest person in the world and you would just make a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happens. But now,
you got to be good.
A couple years later, this year, last year, who's making money? Every wholesaler? No, the best. But the best in any industry are always going to make money. So at that point, now you've got to, know what you're doing. You got to be smart. Buy your courses, learn how you do it.
There we go.
Right.
But okay, so I'll even give personal experience, right? So, I lost a bunch of money on the flips when the rates changed. There's nothing I could do about it. Like they just doubled and it is what it is. So I had to pivot and do more wholesales, change my marketing, all the stuff. And now we're doing good again. But the point is there was really nothing that could be done when the market shifted. Now, what I think
there's something you could have done.
Okay.
What I do if the market
I'm saying the properties I already had.
Oh, the properties you already had, yeah.
They were already toast.
Yeah, you either gotta just cut your losses or turn it into a DSCR loan or something. But yeah. But going forward, what you could do is you could just buy stuff way cheaper.
Yeah.
Of course. And make up for it. But because you're in that situation, I guarantee you everybody else is in that situation.
Oh yeah.
And now at that point, there's no one else buying, so you could get stuff at major discount.
Here's just my own personal going through this. It's all right, cool. I think we're entering, a much better market going into 2025. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be worse than 4 and 23.
Right.
But I think that so many people are now out of the game. They're wounded. There's less competition, all these things.
People are scared.
So I think 2025 is a year of, oh man, it's free for all of being able to go gangbusters. I actually saw this happen in 2020 when everybody was super scared. They didn't know what to do. I was I'm just buying. I don't care. And then, it paid off big time.
And the reason why this works, what you said, I totally agree with you. And the reason why that works is because when you are going gangbusters buying right now, you're not buying at the same price as you were a couple years ago. You're buying for less.
Yeah.
That's why it works. So yes, you could go gangbusters and buy a lot of stuff, but you're also, the reason why you could buy less is because there are a lot of people that are out of the game, so there's less competition.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the market really good again.
Yeah. You know what's funny is, speaking of the education business, you're talking about how you're teaching people to do hard money and stuff like that. Yeah. People always told me, they're oh yeah, the education business does better in a recession and all this stuff because people need to find ways to make money. And I was okay, that makes sense. And then as we were going through, I'm I'm not seeing that. People are way less willing to spend money. Even if you may have their answers, they are way less willing to part with their dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on how good your pitch is.
Yeah.
If you could convince someone that they could buy your program and they're going to be super successful.
Yeah.
I think you could sell any program. Now, the best of the best that did that, like Alex Hormozi, he was able to sell programs to people that had no money, but he just sold them so high where they were able to do it that, so you have to be really, really good. You have to be the top of the top to be able to sell. But if you have the right, the right pitch and everything, you could probably get people to buy. But again, you have to have a good following and everything else. And
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, my experience was from 2020 to 2023, let's just call it. It was very easy to sell education. And, we did great. And then I just noticed people tightening up all throughout. Now, that might be because it's education and real estate, going through a downturn, right? Mm-hmm. So when you double whammy it, probably not great. But it forced me to get better and to make, like you said, become best of the best, create a better product, a better service, a better, it's no-brainer offer, like you said, like what Alex did. And
like you have now with the
exactly. And that's what I was telling you before.
No one does that.
Nobody does it in the industry. It's like we revamped everything. I said, you know what? I'm going to make it so good you can't say no.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, for $1,000 now, you'll get one-on-one coaching. You'll get all of our softwares, your CRM, your website. It's all set up, plus 100 inbound leads every single month for $1,000.
And as soon as someone buys that and it works, which obviously it's going to work, they're never going to not do it. Like they'd be throwing away money not to do it.
They're going to keep doing it. Once you get one deal, you're like, oh, this, okay, two. And then it's recurring forever.
And there's very few people that are capable of doing something like that.
Yeah.
I brought up Alex because I bought Alex's like in the beginning when he first started.
Right.
And that's what he did to me. It worked. I made a lot of money on my gyms. And he kept coming up with these new programs, and I kept having to buy it because it kept working. I kept making more money.
Yeah.
So if someone's able to get a return on their investment, how could they?
Why would they stop? It'd be dumb.
Yeah.
So you had gym business too.
I have a lot of gyms. Yeah. When I back in like 2000, like whatever. Anyway, 2014 or something, I started buying some gyms, and they weren't doing like my initial one was doing really good because I bought an existing business, but then I started a couple, which was stupid because you don't start businesses, you buy existing businesses, and they just didn't have the members. It wasn't doing good. I'm like, man, you know, my marketing's so good on my other businesses, it's just not working on the gym industry. It's a different industry.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing Alex Hormozi's program, and I bought it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get scammed, whatever. I'll throw away a few thousand. I don't care. You know, no one knew who Alex Hormozi even was, and I bought it, and I was like, holy crap. I started doing his Facebook ads, and just people were coming in. I couldn't believe it. And then I was hooked. Like every month, you know, he came up with something else, and I kept making more money on it. And hell, I ended up spending probably close to $150,000 with him.
Yeah. Just buying more and more education.
And it kept working.
Yeah.
Kept working.
And do you still have gyms today?
Yeah. I have 5 gyms today. I had at one point 12. Because when I started with 1, then I got to 3. That's when I bought Alex Hormozi's, when I had 3. And I didn't want to have any more than 3 because it's a lot of work. And his stuff works so well. I'm like, man, I could just buy gyms that maybe aren't even doing good and just put his programs in and grow them. And that's what I did. And I ended up buying 12. I sold 5 of them, and 2 of them I merged with other gyms. And I kept the other 5. And
what's been your biggest like sale of a company, like exit wise?
So most of the money I made was operational, like
just doing it during the business.
I mean, I've never really had a business to where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna sell it and make all the money. On the gold business, toward the end, that's what my plan was. That was a possibility, and it was bad timing. But I would say that, you know, I've sold businesses for a few $1 million here, a few million, but nothing like crazy.
Yeah,
nothing like crazy. I made way more money operating everything.
Right. So a lot of people would be like, oh, you know, like the big money's in the sale and all that. So is your opinion just that, yeah, I want heavy cash flow businesses. I'm not buying or building businesses for like enterprise value. I'm just trying to make money every month.
I think both are good. It just depends on, you know, what your plan is. But if you are buying businesses that are going to cash flow and keep doing good and good, then at any point you could sell those and make a good exit strategy. Just my problem was, you know, when
everything was trending.
Everything was trending. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
But you're looking at it kind of like a house flip. Hey, I'm going to get in and out of this thing for as long as I can, and then I'm out.
And make as much money as I can while it happens. But now I'm going toward more stuff that's not trending. I'm going toward more stuff that's, you know, stable. And some of these I could have exits. You know, before I never thought about it as much because I was like, yeah, I know these aren't going to last forever. So I'm at a different point. So now, with these types of businesses, just cash flow. When you get tired of it, find something else to put your time into that, you know, you think will be more exciting. Then you could sell it.
Do you have a desire to try and just get a big exit for just, I don't know, just a new notch in the belt?
Not particularly. That wasn't one of the things I ever thought about. No, I never. I'm kind of content with what with how things are going.
Yeah.
You know, I just do whatever's enjoyable. You know, if it's enjoyable, I just keep doing it. If it's not enjoyable, I try to figure out a way to not do it anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. So with business, like, what do you think is the thing that causes them to fail?
Businesses fail for a lot of reasons, mostly because there's something with the market that changes, competitors that change, products that new innovations.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Let me rephrase this. How much of business failure do you think is external versus internal?
I would say that it's more internal than external. I was only telling you the external things before.
Yeah.
But internally, that's probably the more important thing. So, you know, the managers and the people that run your company are crucial. So sometimes people, the owners will put a lot of time into it in the beginning, and then they start putting less time into it because they have other people that can do it. And when the owner takes, their time out of it, businesses usually go down because people don't care as much because it's not theirs. But what I like to do with most of my businesses is have the most important person that's running the business be some sort of ownership in the business. I do that with a lot of my business, not all of them, but I do that with a lot of them. And every time I do that, the businesses always do better. So I own a little bit less percent, but they do double the volume. So I'm still making more money overall. But yeah, if you don't have good managers or you don't have good employees, that will kill a business. I mean, customer service is super important. Having good product is, or whatever it is, entertainment, making sure that the customer service is good or the product's good. But if you don't have someone that is running it, that really cares, that will for sure kill just about any business.
Yeah. So internal ops is far more important than your competition.
I think so.
And everything
Yeah.
else. Yeah, and I agree.
I think you could have the shittiest product, but if you have good customer service, like not the shittiest product, you need. Let me tell you that.
The economy could suck.
You
and
can
all
have
that.
you can have an average product. An average product with great customer service is going to do way better than someone that has the best product with way below good customer service. I think that the average product would do better.
What do you think is the number one skill a business needs?
The number one skill is customer service, marketing are the two things that drive every.
So you think
single
marketing supersedes the product and sales?
It's not even close. I think the
So you think marketing's the most important?
I think marketing is way more important than the product. Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I've just seen it over and over. Anyone that spends a lot of money on marketing, they get off. I see so many shit products that do so well, and products that are way better that don't do good. It's just because of the marketing.
I've always said that too.
It's true.
And like, if you want to reach the peak of the peak, you need both, right? You need everything to be good, right? But like, I say this too, where I'm just like, dude, it's not always the best product that wins. It's the best marketer.
No, but what happens is this is what happens. All right, this is why people might disagree with you. They're not right, but this is why. Because there's an average product with great customer service, great marketing, whatever it is. What happens is you start making so much money with that marketing, with that customer service, that the average product, now you can spend a lot of money making that average product the best product. So the average product ends up being the best product down the road at some point because now there's so much money that was made. It's stupid to have the average product.
Right. Because now you have the money for R&D and everything.
Yeah.
Whereas so many people do the opposite. They spend all this money in R&D developing the product, and then they don't even know how to get it out there.
Yeah, and you can have the best thing ever, and those people always go out of business because you don't know how to market. I mean, like I do a lot of martial arts, and all the gyms I have are martial art gyms pretty much. There's CrossFit, but mostly martial arts. There are some of the best instructors out there that go out of business all the time. That just their gyms just don't do good. They don't know how to market. They don't know how to get people in there. And then there's average coaches. I mean, they're decent, but they're average, but they market really well. And I see like Facebook ads for all these different companies, and they're the ones that do the best. Their instructors aren't better than a lot of these others, but they kill it. They know how to get people in there.
Yeah. There you go, guys. You heard it there first. Marketing supersedes the product, but even sales. What about sales?
Sales is important, but again, it depends on what you're selling. Is it a product or a service? And if the product is good, a lot of times it sells itself. So you don't need. If
your marketing's good and you do a great job showcasing it, it's like, dude, I want that.
If your marketing's so good, the sales is easy.
That's why Tesla don't even pay salespeople. Right? They're like, they pay them a little bit, but it's like, bro, everyone already knows they want it.
It's smart. You don't need to.
Yeah.
The marketing does it for you.
They just buy it online.
Exactly. That's true. That's how everything's starting to trend.
Yeah, more so brand and marketing. What do you think about branding?
Branding's super important. When you see a brand that you acknowledge, you're going to get that product or that service or that, one of the reasons why you do so well is everyone knows that the wealthy way and wealthy, brand is so good. Like you have so many people that are crazy. I mean, I've watched so many successful stories of people that have been through your program. I'm actually good friends with, in Georgia, you had him speak at your
Clint.
Yeah. Clint. I'm Clint Cooper. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have people like that. You have tons of people like that.
Yeah.
Not many people have people like that in their program. So it just speaks for itself. It's like, obviously, you could crush it. So there's only very few people, you and a few other people I can think of, that have those type of success stories, and that's brand.
Yeah.
And, people are always going to want to come to you and the people that have those success stories and see that they can do it too.
Yeah. So what do you think about somebody who's just starting out,
Real estate investors, I found a brand new way to create cash flow that's better than anything else I've ever done. It's better than rental properties, Airbnb, my flipping business, multifamily. It's the best thing we've done yet. It is building an automated wholesale business. Now you might be saying, Ryan, how do you build an automated wholesale business? Well, what if you had the same exact leads that I get every single month? What if you had a sales script that was so easy to close deals over the phone that you could do it all across the country? And what if you could sell your deals directly on the MLS without a real estate license and without having to actually own the property and getting top dollar? Well, we do that with this new method. And I made an 11-minute video where I go over how it all works, how you can start doing it today. So if you want to go see that video, go to wealthyinvestor.com, go click the case study and see what I'm talking about.
Someone listening to this right now is like, holy crap, they just talked about a lot of things, right? We talked about starting businesses, buying businesses, brand, and then we're like, hey, marketing's the most important. So if somebody's just starting out right this moment, they don't have a lot of money, what are you advising these people?
100% to get with someone that's in the business, that's successful.
Yeah.
Don't do it on your own. Like, work with someone, whether you partner with them or whether you just work for them and learn stuff and then show them why you're valuable and why they should do stuff with you.
Yeah.
If it's real estate, go to all the meetups, do a lot of online stuff. I mean, another reason why you're super successful, and a lot of people, the few people that do the same thing as you have a very big online presence. Your YouTube's big. You have all these different things. So, at some point, everyone's got to grow that. I mean, I actually bought your program for Wealthy Creator because I had a bunch of people working for me that were doing content for me. I'm like, look, I want you to be the best. I want to be like Ryan. So they came here, they hung out with everyone
with
here.
Justin,
And they've blown up. So not only did they help me with my social media, but a lot of them now have their own social media.
They implemented it for themselves.
They've surpassed me. No, a lot of them have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. When they started working with me, they had a couple, 2, 3, 4,000. They started working with Justin and Wealthy Creator, and now they're like, they put out a few viral videos, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, they're growing like crazy.
That's crazy. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
So, how do you deal with failure? Because I'll tell you this, for me, I'm used to failure. It's part of baseball. I'm like, dude, it's all good. I get it. It's part of it. Some sting more than others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always testing new things. I'm always trying. I'm willing to push the envelope, knowing it. I might fall on my face, and it's all good. But a lot of people, aren't built that way.
I think failure is important. Failure will teach you a lot about yourself. Every time you fail, now you get to see your true colors. All right, am I really a good person? Am I not a good person? Because you act differently. So you've got to, when you fail, see how you react. But failure is really where you learn.
Right.
The important thing when you fail is not to do something crazy where you fail and you die. Okay, I'm not a good skydiver. I shouldn't have done it. I'm dead. No, you've got to do little tiny things, and fail at small things that aren't going to kill you. Right. So as long as you are smart about what you try and what you fail at, you should learn from it and get so much better. And you'll learn a lot about yourself, and you'll see how strong you are in different aspects of your life. And that will ultimately help you in anything you do in the future.
What do you think was one of your biggest failures?
I would say one of the biggest failures I had when I was younger, in my early 20s, I started a haunted house.
Okay.
And I didn't know enough about it. And I got a couple partners, and they hyped it up like it was the best thing. They never did it, but they acted, I would have thought they, knew everything about it. And I spent a few $100,000 on it that I lost. And I put pretty much all my money into it. They did a lot of the stuff, and I learned a lot from it. First of all, I learned about partners, because I since then I've had 100 partners, and I've learned how to tell a good partner, bad partner, how to protect myself to where if I have a bad partner, how I'm protected. I learned a lot of that. I also learned to not do shit that you don't know about. I'll do a lot of stuff, but I only do stuff that I know about. Like, I have a buy box, right? I have a lend box. I don't go outside that buy box. I don't go outside lend because I don't know about it. I don't know much. I know very little, but you know what? I only do what I know about,
And you know it deeply.
And I know it deeply. So yeah, if 100 people come here, they're all smarter than me in most stuff.
Yeah.
But couple things I know I'm really good at. So
Yeah.
I stay in that box. So you've got to, understand what you're good at and stick to that.
So, we talked about like trying lots of things. You find a winner, you go all in at it.
Mm-hmm.
To me right now, you've tried lots of things and you've kind of kept lots of things, but you haven't really gone all in on any one of them the way you did with gold and everything else. Like, when you're killing it with the escape rooms and all these things, why not have gone just 10x'd it, 100x'd
Yeah.
it?
I mean, I always try. So with like escape rooms in particular, or even axe throwing, I found out that they were really good. I made a lot of money in my first one. I did. First off, they cost, at least, to the way I was doing it, they cost about $250,000 a location. But you also have to, find locations. You have to find people to run them. And it takes time to build all that out. So I went from 1 to 16 pretty fast.
Yeah.
But I went from 1 to 12 pretty fast. And then, the last few kind of trickled in. But I couldn't have done it much faster unless I had a lot more help that, I was really close with. But at the same time I was doing escape rooms, I was doing 4 or 5 other things. So if I went all in on escape rooms, then I might not have done as much with real estate. I might not have done as much with lending. So I had to like figure out what's the best use of my time and how big I can get in one thing without killing something else. So, it's like a juggling act.
So you just kind of realize it's not worth like the risk to keep trying to scale.
Yeah,
this.
it's not worth the risk. And I only had a certain amount of people I trusted to work with at the time. And
So it's just going to be hard to scale it.
it's hard to scale. Like, I think, if you have something really good, you want to scale it as fast and as much as possible. But I think some of the people that lose the most money that I've ever talked to is because they had something really good and they scaled it way too fast and they couldn't manage it and they just went bankrupt.
Whoa.
You've heard those stories.
Yeah.
So you can have the best product, but if you just grow too fast, you outgrow yourself and you can get in really big trouble. So I try not to do that. I try to grow at a pace where I have the people that can implement everything.
It seems like you're very, I don't want to say risk averse because you're not, but like you're very conscious of risk. You're like, hey, this ain't worth the risk. This ain't, like I'm going to only do things that I know are like sure wins. You're like, I want a bunch of singles and doubles and I'm good with that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm very much like that, but I know like there's certain things I'm just not capable of doing, and why try it? It's just not worth it. I could get those doubles and singles, and
Yeah. What do you think about like?
I steal some bases every once in a while.
Every once in a while, you steal a base.
Yeah.
What do you think about businesses that I guess are more scalable? Because like from what I've heard from you, you don't do much like online stuff or tech stuff that's seemingly a lot easier to scale because you're not bound by all these physical locations and all that.
When I was younger, actually, a good part of the money I made was on online sales. I did tons of different products, and I sold sports cards online, but I sold all kinds of products online. I used to go to auctions and just buy out, return auctions and all kind of stuff, and would sell it all.
You're doing
online.
the pallet flipping stuff?
I did that for like a couple years. Yeah. I did it for a couple years. I had a big warehouse full of crap. I was like, this is the best stuff. And then I'm like,
I did my buddy on my YouTube channel, and they do like 50 million a year in revenue.
Yeah.
Pallet flipping.
Yeah. I mean, if you're good at it, know what you're doing and buy the right stuff.
But that's all he does, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just Amazon's at his warehouse
Yeah.
freaking every day.
It's fun if you're good at it.
Yeah.
So I did that for a little bit. I sold a lot of stuff online, and it was fun, but I don't know. I kind of feel like at some point I quit doing that and got into other stuff. It worked really well, and like I said, I'm not really good tech stuff. I'm not really good online stuff. So I just kind of stick to what I'm good at.
Yeah, just the physical kind of service-based, entertainment-based businesses. That's kind of your bread and butter.
Yeah, pretty much in real estate.
In real estate.
Yeah.
What do you think about scaling real estate further? I mean, obviously you're already doing crazy high volume. Is it just, once again, it's kind of like reached that point where it's like, to scale beyond this, I'd have to go to multiple states, and I don't really want to do that.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to go to any more states. I tried that and I made money, but it was way too much work for the money. It wasn't worth it. That's why, again, you have to get a buy box and stick to it. I mean, I have people call me, I have the best deal in Texas. I'm like, all right, great. But it's like, it's so cheap. I'm like, all right, great. But it's not like I have no interest.
I have no idea.
I don't care if I'm gonna make $1 million off it. I just have a buy box and I just can't do it because it's just gonna screw me up for the next one, Yeah. So I don't do it. But I could definitely scale real estate a lot, but it's gonna be based on how the market is. In the right markets, I could scale it 10 times, just in Atlanta. But
But this hasn't been the right market, clearly.
Well, it's, I think I've grown it as big as I can with the people I have and the time I have in the market that we're in right now. If I see different trends happening, I could definitely get a couple more people in to help and partner with, or, work for me and grow it more. But it's just not the right time for that right now. But I do buy also a lot of creative deals. I buy every week. I probably buy one owner
just
finance
for a buy and hold.
Just for a buy and hold and for depreciation and buy and hold. So I could definitely grow that as well. But I'm trying to buy like the best deals. There's definitely deals that come around that I pass on that you could buy. There's no cash flow in it, but like long term it's going to be good.
Long term, the tax write off.
It's just like those I kind of quit messing with. I used to buy a little bit more of those, but now I have.
Why'd you stop buying those? Would you say?
Because I look at the money I tie up in them and the cash flow that it makes, and it's just
you're looking at the cash on cash, and it's not great.
Yeah, it's not great. I know like long term they're going to be good, but I see that there's so many more opportunities that I could probably do, and I just rather wait for those because they do take time. Every time I buy another property, there's more stuff you have to deal with. Even though I have a property manager that handles everything,
You got to fix it up.
There's still stuff that comes about. So I try to stick to the ones I know are going to cash flow. I'm buying at a good rate. I used to buy stuff at full price or sometimes over full price if you cash flowed or if some other aspects.
I'm not a fan of that.
I know, but if you get a 0% interest, you would be.
Yeah. In that case,
So I get a lot of 0% interest deals, and they cash flow because of that. So those are the ones that I don't mind paying full price or over full price. It's not like
because it will be in a few years. It'll
catch up.
It'll catch up.
Yeah, because instead of paying $100,000 in interest,
you're just committed.
You're just paying $50,000 more, so you're still saving $50,000 just over a longer period.
You're just committed to saying, "Hey, I have no exit strategy for the next 4 years."
No, yeah, pretty much.
Essentially,
pretty much. But that's not true even. You could sell it to somebody else on the same terms that you have. That
right.
But in theory, that's the only thing you could do. Right?
Yeah, you could only resell or finance it to someone else.
Right. But yeah, I mean, so there's definitely more opportunities. But I think that at the right time in the market's gonna, like you said, you think next year. I think next year could be really good. There's a lot of factors that come into play that we'll know, soon.
We'll know in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So
by the time this releases, we might already know.
You might already know. But I mean, even after that, it's going to take a few months to really know 100%, to know really close. But yeah, if I see stuff trending the right way, I'll 10 times the,
You'll go 10x it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've been too, where every business I've ever started is what I would call an MVP. And for those who don't know, that's a minimum viable product. And the tech world. I don't know if you would call it that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a tech person.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm going to just try this out and let's see how it goes, right? And so, with like for example, say education. It's like, all right, I'll try coaching some people, see if I like it. Okay, cool, that worked. There's demand. Let's try and now see what it looks like to fully start this, right? And that's what I did with the lead generation, with Lead Kitchen. It was like, there was no brand, there was no funnel, there's no website. I'm just like, hey, would you want the same leads I have?
Right.
You would? Okay, well, let's try it out, see how it goes. Here's what I'm thinking of charging. Would you pay that? Okay, then pay it. Don't tell me you would if you wouldn't, right? And that's that, because people will get their feedback from their friends and stuff. And friends like, yeah, I would totally buy it. Okay, so buy it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, it's like, well, then we don't know if it's actually good.
Exactly. No, you have to see them buy it and do it. I agree. There's so many times where people will think they have a good idea because all their friends are like, oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, buy it. Well, I don't want to buy. I don't want to. So don't always trust everyone.
Yeah, I did a one-on-one with a guy, and dude, he was not listening, and I was getting frustrated because he was like, yeah, dude, so here's the thing, and he just keeps telling me about it, and he wanted me to potentially promote it and partner up with him on it. And I'm like, dude, have you asked anyone if they'd actually buy this product?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, no, but it solves the problem of X, Y. I'm like, I don't think anyone has that problem. He's like, well, I had the problem. And I'm like, you might have been the only one who had this problem. And this is a huge mistake people make. They solve for themselves when they're not the masses.
That's actually one of the biggest mistakes I see people do.
Such a bad mistake.
Oh, they do it in every industry. They're like,
Yeah.
this is great because I like it. This
Yeah.
is a good flavor because I like it. But it doesn't matter what you like. It matters what all your customers are going to like.
Ain't nobody drinking that flavor.
Yeah, no one's drinking that flavor. I see it on Shark Tank all the time. When I watch Shark Tank, people come up there and they're like, man, this is the best product. It's great. It's great. All right, cool. What's your sales? Oh, we don't have much sales yet. Well, then how do you know it's good? You know, like sales is what you need to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no one bought it yet. But dude, look at it.
Yeah.
Its packaging's great. Everything about it's great.
I have 100 people every month that pitch me stuff like that. Oh, it's the best idea ever.
Yeah.
But they haven't
you
told
still
anything.
entertain them?
Not really, but I have, like a nice reply back that's like automated that I just send everyone.
It's not in my buy box.
Yeah, it's not, basically. Yeah, that's pretty much.
That's what it says?
No, this is the best idea. I'm just not the right person for it.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great, man. Pursue it.
Hey, just don't forget about me when you get famous.
Dude, you're nicer than me. Like I'll look at something, I'll be like, that is so dumb. Why? I'm like, don't
Sometimes
even.
I'm the person. I will tell people how dumb shit. Trust me, I
Yeah.
could be crazy. Like,
I mean, I'm not doing it to be mean. I'm just
Yeah.
doing it because I don't want them wasting any more time.
Yeah.
And like, for example, I'm like, I really believe you should stop doing this right now.
the problem is,
I don't care how much time you've put into it.
The problem is, you're trying to help them,
Yeah.
and they just think you're lying to them. So
Yeah.
that you're not helping them because
You're trying to steal my idea.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what happens half the time. That's why I don't do it. That's why I do it, right? You try to help someone and it always turns back on you.
Yeah. I'm just like, dude, do not do this.
Like, yeah, I mean, you're just smarter than me. Just go ahead and prove me wrong. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you pitching me then?
yeah. Right, exactly. I'm like, great. It's a great idea.
So how do you manage all this stuff, dude?
So just having a lot of good partners and then just good, employees in place. But
Do you have like a parent company that oversees the partners, or how do you do that?
not really. I have like one parent company that I have a partner in that we have a bunch of business together, but I literally have different partners with half my businesses. So
Right.
a lot of them I've known for a long time, but some of them have come to some of the events I've done. I've done lots of business buying masterminds
Yep.
since 2020, and I partner with a lot of people that have come to some of those.
Do you
Yeah.
just go there looking for partners?
No, I mean, I don't go there looking for partners, but I'm always
happens.
hoping I get a few partners from them.
It happens.
Yeah, it definitely happens. I mean, look, there's some people that are just super aggressive and just keep coming at you with cool stuff, and those people are the right.
They're
Right
hustlers.
away. You know right away who is going to be someone that you could do stuff with, and who's just someone that is just not going to come up with something that makes sense to do something with. So, there's always those people. I have people at every event that I do businesses with,
Yeah.
all over the country. If they're in different parts of town, that's why I'll do other parts of town, because I know they could run it and manage it. Now they have to pretty much, run it and manage it and do the operations. And then I don't mind putting money into it or raising money for it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So what then does your day-to-day look like? Because, you got your partners running the business that they're overseeing. You've got your real estate thing, which I assume you got like an operator in who's handling the day-to-day. And then you're always looking for opportunity.
Always.
You're going to events, you're networking, you're making content. Like, what do you do?
90% of my day, honestly, is in front of my computer underwriting deals. So people send me deals to buy.
So you still underwrite all your real estate deals?
I do everything. Yeah. So I just, I was talking to you before the podcast started, that I just hired someone that's going to take over all that stuff. So
Okay.
I would say in the next 4 months, I probably won't be doing that hardly at all. But I enjoyed it, but I don't enjoy it as much anymore because it takes up so much time. But I underwrite all my real estate deals that I buy, underwrite all the real estate deals that I loan on, all the businesses that I buy. So I'm gonna start handing that off. But that's what I'm doing all day. Like I get hundreds and hundreds of emails every single day with deals being sent to me, and that's what I do. But again, I don't do anything else. I don't do the construction. I don't do the operating. I don't do any of that other stuff. But this was like really fun for me, and I really enjoyed it. And for me, I love talking to sellers and negotiating and getting a deal and having everyone happy and getting what I want, getting them what they want, and it's just fun. It's kind of like a game. So I'm playing game all day,
So you're getting just emails all day, and you're
Oh,
just
crazy. Yeah.
dang, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. I actually just started last week.
I don't even read my emails.
Yeah, I read every single one. So I just started a vlog where the person that does all my social media,
Yeah.
he's just watching me every day now for like the last week or two, and we're just gonna put like a week of what happens. But you'll see, I'm in the.
Is it just the whole vlog though? Is you at the computer just typing and on calls?
Pretty much, but I can't sit there. I can't sit there for more than a couple hours at a time. So I've got to like get out and go to look at a property or go to lunch or just to. So
you still check properties too?
Very rarely, only for camera purposes. Like I really, if I wasn't ever filming, I probably would almost never go to a property.
Right.
I do it just so people can see that I actually am at a property that I do.
Yeah.
I do all kinds of weird things on my properties. I do like silly pictures and videos and just
get
different
some
than anyone else. Yeah, content. It's for content purpose. But also, I can't sit in front of a computer. I'll go crazy all day.
Yeah.
So I need to take breaks every so often.
So what are you going to do though once that's off your plate?
So once that's off my plate,
you won't have purpose.
Yeah, I know. I won't. No. But my plan is to go. I've gotten a lot, pretty fat and out of shape lately. So my plan is to go to the gym a little bit more, spend some more time with the family. Then, of course, I want to start getting more into some business stuff. So I haven't been doing as much business as I want to lately, just because the real estate's taking up so much time.
Okay, so most of the deals you're underwriting are all real estate.
Mostly
not business.
all. I do some business stuff, but it's very minimal compared to real estate and lending. But I want to do a little bit more business, but I also want to just have more free time, that I could just go to the gym and hang out and do other stuff.
So you're going to just trade underwriting real estate deals for underwriting business deals.
Yeah, but I'm going to trade 5 hours worth of this to 2 hours worth of this. So I'm also going to be doing half as much time.
You don't have to underwrite as many business deals.
Yeah, and once I have my system of showing somebody how I do the business deals, I'll have someone come and do that as well.
Right. So how many real estate deals will you buy this year? How many are you going to fund?
I would say that I am buying close to 15 a month right now. For sure, 12 is the least I ever buy in a month. 12 to 15.
So you don't wholesale at all. You just fix
I've never wholesaled. I've never wholesaled ever. Mm-hmm. So every single deal I bought, I pay cash for. I've always used my own cash. I never even borrowed money to buy any deals.
So you could buy thinner than most people.
Yeah, and I could close tomorrow if the deal's ready. I don't need anyone to approve anything. I'm the one that does all that. So I would say that out of all the deals I buy, now I say I never wholesale, but when I say I never wholesale, that means that I never sell a contract. I own everything. There are times where I own something and then I wholesale it or sell it to another investor a week later or a month later or whatever without doing any work or sometimes doing minimal work. I don't like wholesaling because I like being in total control. And I've bought so many things from wholesalers where I gave my earnest money and this and that. And I expect to close and that deal fell through because the seller backed out or because the title wasn't good or whatever it was. Right. And that just pisses me off, So there's actually a few wholesalers that they didn't back out on purpose, but whatever, something with the seller. And they always want me to put earnest money up. And I told them, look, I'm never putting earnest money up. I've never not bought a deal I said I'm going to buy. And I could show you thousands of deals. I'll put earnest money up if you put earnest money up. If I put earnest money up and if I don't buy it, you keep it. But if you don't sell me the deal, you lose your earnest money and I keep it. And that's what I've been doing the last 2-3 years with a lot of wholesalers. And they're like, well, I'm going to sell it to you. I'm like, well, I don't know. I've bought every single thing that I've committed to, but I'll tell you that I have a lot of things that I've committed to where the wholesalers backed out, whether it was their fault or not.
Right.
So now most people don't even want my earnest money anymore because I made that. I was like, you want my earnest money? I want your earnest money.
But you still buy from wholesalers.
That's primarily who I buy from. I almost only buy from wholesalers. I would say 70% plus, 75%. The other people I buy from, there's some. I have a little bit of internal team that I buy some stuff from. I still have that home investor franchise that I might get a deal or two a month. Yeah. But it's not even it's mine, but it's not mine. It's not in my name. It's somebody else has it. I just fund it and I get all the deals. But and then I have some attorneys and some real estate agents that give me pocket listings. I have stuff like that where I get deals. A lot of stuff. I post stuff every single week on Facebook and other social medias, and I have people that just randomly send me deals. I saw that you buy deals, my friend or my uncle or my house, So I buy deals like that as well, but it's over 70% from wholesalers.
Got it. That makes sense. So what's the plan with businesses? How are you going to find deals?
That's not a problem for me. I have deal flow is easy for me, but the way I would go after deals is probably I would say over the last 5-10 years, most deals I've bought, 80% are off market and 20% are on market for business. For real estate, it's like 99.9% off market. Yeah, it's very rare I buy. The only ones I buy on market are usually creative deals. So I'll buy like owner finance and sub twos and stuff on market. But for cash deals, pretty much fix and flips almost always off market. But for business, about 20% on market. So I would always look on market for those 20%, but those aren't always the best deals. However, I do know how to get on market deals at a really good how to find really good on market deals. But typically it's deals that have been listed for close to a year or longer. And those deals that people get super motivated, and then they'll start doing really good deals for on market. But I'm going to primarily focus on off market, and I'm going to figure out what niches I want or what types of industries and businesses I want and what areas I want them in. And I have like a whole campaign of, I have someone that does all this data. They'll go onto Google, they'll go onto a couple different sites, and they'll just pull every business that exists in that industry in that part of town. I'll get the addresses of the business. I'll get the addresses of where the owners live, and I'll send letters out. I have an email campaign. I have a letter. My letter campaign's like the best. Like I bought more deals with my letter campaign. I came up with this like 2018, 19 is where I started to come up with my letter campaign. And then in 2020, I just perfected it to where it was like the best. Like it's 100,000 times better than anybody else that does letter.
I mean, you're just sending them a letter. What's so different about it?
Okay, so what's the letter? If I showed you wouldn't even believe it. But
is it handwritten?
Yeah. So there's about 100 different things I do to a letter that nobody else does. No one even thinks about that they could do.
Give me a couple.
A couple of examples. So when I send letters out, it doesn't look like a letter. It's shaped like the business. So if I'm trying to buy a tree company, it's going to be shaped like a tree.
Okay.
And it will look like a tree. And when I send it to them, every single person is going to open it because they're going to be curious. So they've never seen a letter that looks like that.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll do a wax seal on them. Sometimes I'll do, different stamps that say different things. Sometimes, when I send a letter out, I don't put one American flag stamp on it. I'll put like 10 stamps that are 20 cents, 5 cents each. It just it just looks totally different.
Yeah.
I'll splash some perfume on it. If I'm sending it to a tree company, I might spray the pine salt, it smells like trees. So when you get my letter, it's going to smell unique. Yeah. It's going to feel unique. I'm going to have like maybe a wax seal on the back, potentially if it's a regular letter. Obviously I have different size letters, different shape, different thicknesses.
What possessed you to do all this?
I actually have over 100 different things I do. You don't even,
that was like 6. Like what even gave you the idea of like, I'm going to make my letter 100 times different than everyone else's?
So I've gotten a few weird letters in the past. Nothing like what I've talked about, but like I've always opened. I'm like, why did I open this letter? It's just different than every other letter.
Yeah.
So maybe like it was a real estate letter and it had a picture of my house on it. It was just a picture of my house. But I was like, damn, that was my house. Like I opened it. I was like, how did I know where, my house looks like? And then I've seen like, letters where I've had like, 4, 5, 6 different stamps on it. And I was like, damn, that's obviously not a junk mail. So I opened it because I was like a real person.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
See what they do.
And different things like that. So I was I want people to open up my letter. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make every person open every letter that I send. And when I was buying gyms, I would send them, it was shaped like a barbell.
Yeah.
When I was buying, trophy stores, it was shaped like a trophy. And I have like a whole system of how I mass produce them and I send them out to all the different companies.
How do you mass produce that?
Well, I make one. And actually I have one person now that does all my letters for me that came to one of my masterminds back in 2020. And we worked together. And now she actually has a business. That's what she does. She makes these letters for other people. So I don't even make my own letters anymore. I just let her make all my letters. I just tell her what I want on them.
Yeah.
But it's a business, and she's the only one in the world probably that makes letters like this. But it's pretty cool. And she's got it. She took it to another level, even what I did.
So like, what does one of the letters cost to send?
So there's different types of letters, but it probably is. It depends on what you want them to do. So she'll actually just make the letter and send it, or she'll actually do all the research and actually find the addresses, find the people, and put all that together. So it depends. It could be anywhere from $1 to $7. For something like that.
For one, yeah. That makes sense.
Depending on, obviously we do different shape letters. The other thing that I do is really cool is like if you go to like the Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something, they have a stationery section with crazy amounts of stationery. If you go on Amazon, it's probably even bigger. And they'll have stationery that looks like grass or looks like a fence or looks like brick or whatever. And if I'm trying to buy a landscape company, I'm going to take that piece of paper that looks like grass I'm going to shape it into an envelope. And the way I do that, I'll open up an envelope and I'll trace it and cut out, and then I'll just mask cut them. And then I'll turn that piece of paper into an envelope. And now my envelope is a piece of grass, or whatever I want it to look like. When a landscaper gets that, they're 100% opening that. They've never seen that crap before. It's you're so curious. Like, well, what is this? Who sent this? Why? Like, what? You know what I mean? And I'll have like all kinds of cool stuff inside the letters, different thing. Anyhow, it's
Dude, I
could talk hours just about letters.
Have you ever talked about this in public?
I teach it at my business, the business masterminds I do. But I made one YouTube video it's called the $1 Million Letter.
Okay.
And if you watch the $1 Million Letter, it's a 6-minute video or whatever. But I talk a little bit about it. But I have videos like probably that I can make for like an hour that shows you every crazy little thing you could do. Like, I mean, when you pay for a letter, you could do a lot of stuff. You're not just paying for a letter. Like, you could do all kinds of stuff to a letter. So I go through about 100 things you can do.
I would have never pegged you as like an arts and crafts guy.
But I'm not. But I'm
But
creative.
you're like, dude, I'll go to Hobby Lobby, I'll buy it, I'll trace it, I'm like,
yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, I can't even figure out how you would do that.
I get like Google eyes and put them inside on my letters. I see you.
You're like my daughter.
Yeah.
That's what she does.
Yeah. So I don't do it anymore. Now I hand it off to this other person that's even more creative than me, but I gave her all the ideas to do,
Got it. Okay. So then she'll be like, all right, here's what I got.
Yeah.
I've watched the $100 million letter video.
Yeah. I literally have people that call me that get my letters are like, I have no interest in selling my business, but that was like the coolest fucking letter I've ever seen. I'm keeping it in case you ever want to sell it. You're definitely gonna be the first person I call. And I'm showing all my friends that have it, that have the same exact industry you're looking for. And I've actually bought a couple gyms from referrals from people. And actually I've had people that got my letter 6 months ago, before, and all of a sudden I get a call. I'm like, I haven't sent letters out in a while. And they're like, oh yeah, I got this letter 6 months ago. I saved it. And now's the right time.
How many times will you mail them?
So typically twice. I'll mail it the first time, and I have this whole spreadsheet I keep of what the envelope looks like and who I sent it to. Did I send it to their house? Did I send it to their business? Did I send it to both? It's a whole like system I have. But after like a month, if I don't hear back, then I will go ahead and send another one, but it'll be totally different. So it just depends. And then
goes from barbell to protein shake.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. No, sometimes it'll just be a regular letter with different colors on it or something. But I will keep track of everything really well. Now, if it's an industry that I'm trying to, buy a business in that has like, tons of locations, and I'm not going to get very specific on the letter. So like on the actual letter, I have like really cool things I put on there. But like if I'm mass sending a whole bunch, I'll put the different person's name on there and everything else, but I won't like get really detailed. But if I'm sending a letter and there's only like 20 shots I have, 20 companies that exist that I'm trying to buy, I'm gonna like pay someone to do some research and be like, okay, this person won an award in 2018 for this.
You're getting hyper targeted.
I'm gonna get hyper targeted on the more important letters. So depending on how important that letter is, I could get it to where someone's gonna read it and they're gonna like.
At that point though, do you try cold calling and texting?
Oh, that's additional to the letters.
So you're always gonna you're gonna hit them in every way.
I'm gonna hit them every way. I might even go by their business, depending on the business.
Yeah, go door knock them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, send someone there. There's all kinds of stuff. I have a really, really cool email campaign I do too. So the crazy thing is, I'm weird because most people, they get like spam email, you just delete it right away. Like you hate it. I love getting spam email.
You like to see how people are marketing.
I like to see how marketing. So I have a list of like 100 different subject lines of people that sent me spam that tricked me, and I opened their damn email and I read it. And then I have like first paragraph stuff saved for like all these people that I'm like, oh, this is a real person. And a paragraph later, I'm like, holy crap, this person just got me to read their. So I save every single good subject line, headline that I get in every email.
We have a running joke upstairs. Yeah. So Lauren is our email copywriter.
Yeah.
And she's had a couple of questionable headlines.
Yeah.
Because they come from me.
Right.
So we have this running joke because one of them, it was like, we sent it out late at night, and the subject line just said, "You up?" And that was it.
Oh yeah, because
it's at night.
Yeah,
and we were just like, what are you sending? Like these sexual emails of like, so funny. But I bet you the open rate was really high.
The open rate's high. Like there's a lot of things that if it tricks you, or pretty much almost tricks you, you're gonna get a lot of people to open it.
Yeah.
So I mean, with letters, when you send letters, emails, I mean, there's a few things that's really important. You've got to get people to open your letter.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you, I'm going to get the highest open rate that anyone could possibly get. There's no way people aren't going to open every letter.
Yeah.
It's just they're going to be curious. Then once they get it, the next thing is getting them to read it. So I have like a particular thing I do to get everyone to read it. And then obviously the most important thing after that is to get people to do what you want them to do, whether it's to sell you something, buy something from you, whatever else.
Call you. Yeah.
Call you. Yeah. So call you, email you, whatever. So, all everything I have in my letters targets those things. And then of course, ultimately finally talking to them and closing them.
Yeah. So do you send all the traffic to yourself?
It depends. I used to have someone in my office that used to take all the initial calls and initial emails, and then they would send me after they talked to them once or twice. That's pretty much what I usually do, but it depends on the business. If it's something that is like super important and I don't have like a lot of shots, then I'll just have them come to me. But most of the stuff that I do is like a mass type letter thing, and it goes to somebody else that vets it and then only gives me the once it's
he's
solid.
like, hey, this is actually the person. They're interested.
Correct.
Hop on a call.
Yeah. Ralph.
So like an assistant.
Yeah.
In a way.
Pretty much. Yeah. And he could do it. He doesn't have to, he could just do it, just by he doesn't have to be in my office per se. It could be anywhere.
How big is your staff?
It's not that big. I mean, it depends on what you consider staff. So I have tons and tons of people that work for me, but if you're talking
Across
about
all these
office,
businesses,
if you're talking about office staff, I have, a couple partners, and they're not even in my office. They're in their own office because my partners now live in Florida. So, well, I don't know for how much
I don't know
longer.
if they're going to keep living there.
Yeah. But they live in Florida. So I'm at my office, and then I have, executive assistant, and then I have a couple people that help me on top of that. So there's always
the content guys.
Yeah, and a content guy. So, there's probably not more than 4 or 5 people ever in my office.
Wow. And so, because most of your stuff doesn't have anything to do at your, corporate area.
Yeah, I mean, I have people that do pop in, that do stuff for me, but they don't have to be at the office per se. Like if you have people calling deals for you or trying to do deals, they could do it from anywhere. But
Right.
I'm happy for them to come to my office if they want, and they feel like they get more productive, but they don't always have to.
Right. So what do you think the future is for you? I mean, like, obviously you've made enough money. Obviously you like making more money.
Well, who doesn't?
I know.
It's just fun. The reason why it's so important to make more money is not because you need it or because it's just because you're just not going to feel good about yourself if you don't. Like, you'll feel like a loser, right? Like if you just quit making money,
Yeah.
let's say you had enough money for whatever the rest of your life,
yeah.
and you quit making money, you just feel like a loser.
Yeah.
You'd feel like you're not
wired.
productive.
It's not how we're wired.
Yeah, your brain, just mentally, you just wouldn't feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
So that's like every time you do something new or something different, it just feels like, okay, I still got it, or I still
got it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Maybe I don't have it quite as good, but I still got something.
You think you'll ever find anything like the gold business again?
I don't think anyone could ever think that they could find something like that again. But, you just never know. I mean, it's definitely possible because there are a lot of cool things that I come across that I'll try.
Yeah.
But that's like a one in a lifetime type thing for me probably. But it's possible.
Yeah. What do you think about cards now? Because that's how you got started, and they've made a big resurgence.
Yeah, so I have a lot of friends still in the card business because I was in it for a long time, and I know people that have made millions of dollars on cards lately. But every single person I know that's in sports cards said over the last year and a half, everything's dropped like 80%, and a lot of the people that made millions of dollars have lost most of it back.
Wow.
So I've heard cards got really, really bad lately.
Really?
Yeah, especially in the last year or so. I'm not personally in it, but I know a lot of people that.
It just seems like to me that like, and maybe this is just every industry, so I'm just like kind of biased, but it seems like anything that's kind of like a alternative niche type of investing, cards, watches, shoes,
flip-flops,
whatever. I mean, even crypto, right?
Right.
All these non-traditional ways of investing, they all seem to have booms and bust.
Yeah. For sure.
Like big booms and busts. Not like, real estate the last couple of years has been slow, the stock market, but like overall, real estate and stock market are pretty predictable.
But everything, even those, like everything has big booms and busts. Yeah, 100%. Right. So, the people that do the best are people that time it well, or that have these instincts or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you've got to, if you don't have those instincts, you don't know how to time it, you've got to know how to deal with them.
Right. Yeah. Like, because even when you said you made a bunch of money with Beanie Babies, like
crazy amounts.
So it's like with Beanie Babies, there was no boom and bust. It was just like once it was done, it was done.
Yeah. It never came back. I mean, It was crazy. It was that's how I made my first $10 million in Beanie Babies. So, I mean, you don't even know how much Beanie Babies I was slinging back in the day.
Like,
So-
what was the business with the Beanie Babies?
So
How'd you
it
do
started. It started in 1997, and I started just kind of finding some at stores, which was really hard at the time, and
Yep.
they were $5. And the worst ones would sell for $10. The best ones at the time, you could find in a store were selling for $40, $50. You'd sell them on eBay. You'd sell them at different shows, and then eventually they got easier to get. So now you're doing more in quantity, and eventually when they got a lot easier to get, you would just buy quantity and sell them. So the big thing about Thai, the reason why they became so expensive was because they would only sell them to like little mom and pop stores. They never would give them to like a Walmart or like a retail store.
Right.
So, but all the retail stores really wanted them because that's what brought people in.
Yep.
So at some point I was able to buy just big quantities and sell it to like all the drugstores, all the grocery stores, all the Walmarts. And I was selling tractor trailers, once it got easier to get. And they would just put them in there to get people in the stores. So
Ty didn't want you to do that though.
no, he sent me a lot of cease and desist orders and threatened me to not do it. But I didn't do anything wrong. I bought them and sold them.
How were you getting supply? Because he didn't want to sell to you.
Yeah.
Then.
So again, I'm really good at negotiating with people. So I always will go to every single store owner that had them. I'm like, look, you're selling them for $5 in your store. Let me pay you $7, and you're making more, and I'll just buy.
We'll buy them all.
I'll buy them all, and you could order more. And eventually, when they started not being as hot, I'd offer them $5 and $4, and they cost them $2.50. So
Yeah.
I was like, look, you're not ordering as much as you can. Order the max. I'll buy the rest. Whatever you. And I just knew how
They were
to,
wholesaling at that point.
Basically, that was wholesaling. And by the way,
And you were wholesaling too.
yeah, something interesting that I could tell you that I don't think we talked about last time. All my kids are named after previous businesses I've had.
Okay.
So my oldest kid is named Ty.
Oh,
And I
that's
named them
funny.
after Ty Beanie Babies.
I thought you were going to say his name was Beanie.
No, that's not a bad name. I could have named him his middle name. No, but yeah. So my oldest son is named Ty, and it was after Ty Beanie Babies. So
That's funny.
but that's how I named all my kids.
Well, what are the other names?
My other name. So my second kid, his name is Troy.
Okay.
And that's where I made the most money in gold and jewelry. So every single thing in jewelry is measured in troy ounces.
Oh.
So we used troy ounces, and then gold. The symbol for gold is AU.
Yep.
So his middle name is Austin because it starts with
AU.
AU. So it was like Troy gold. It's troy ounce gold. So yeah, and then so I have three kids. So Ty, and his middle name is actually the person that started Beanie Babies is Ty Warner.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to copy his name because it's kind of like a little stupid. So, so I made it Ty Warren. So his name's Ty Warren, just to change it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was after Ty Beanie Babies. That's actually how I met my wife 27 years ago.
She bought a Beanie Baby off you or what?
I bought a Beanie Baby off her.
She had a little store.
Yeah, she worked at a store.
Yep.
And that's how I met her. So if it wasn't for Beanie Babies, I never would have met
married.
my wife. But yeah, she worked at a store. And
Did she give you a good deal?
Not in the beginning.
Okay.
It was tough.
Yeah.
But eventually, I'm a good
figured it
talker.
out.
I know how to get people motivated with money and everything else. So yeah, we worked out a deal, and it was lucrative for both of us. And then we
And
started
then you
dating.
threw in a date.
Yeah.
You're
Then we
like,
threw-
hey,
we
if you
threw
do this deal, I'll take you
Yeah,
out.
pretty much. That's how it happened.
There we go.
So that was Ty Warren, and then Troy Austin, and then my last kid is a girl, and my wife's like, man, you named the first two, like I'm naming the girl. I'm like, all right, whatever. So go ahead. So she named her first name, but the middle, she's like, but you could have her middle name. I was like, all right, cool. So I was really big, obviously, in jewelry, and diamonds was a big thing that I made a lot of money on as well. And so when you have a whole lot of gems, whether it's diamonds or emeralds or sapphire, it doesn't matter. It's called Melly. You have a lot of Melly. So her middle name is Melly after basically having a whole lot of
Gems.
gems. Yeah,
That's a cool name. I've never heard that. So a bunch of gems is called a melly.
Melly. If you have a whole lot of so if you have any jewelry and you have like little stones in it, maybe you have like one big stone and then you have a whole bunch of small stones
Yeah.
around it. All the small stones are called Melly.
Oh.
And if you're in the jewelry industry or definitely in the diamond industry, that's everyone
Yeah.
would call it Melly. It
So-
just means you have a whole lot of small diamonds or whatever else it is.
Got it. So basically, I have to name my next kid like Flip or something.
Call them both.
Yeah, just since the name's Fluffy. Oh man, I don't think Mindy's gonna go for that. You call him home run.
Yeah.
So, as we wrap up here, I mean, obviously we've talked about a bunch of different businesses and things people can do and all that good stuff. To me, it sounds like, as I look at your career the last 30 years, you started out as a guy going after trends, and then, that led you into one trend, well, multiple trends that ended up paying off really well, but one trend that like was going to pay off mega well.
Right.
And it still did throughout, even though you didn't get the final exit. And then it seems like the second half of your career, you started going into more stable things, and that's kind of where you're going to be headed going forward.
Yeah.
One thing I haven't really heard you talk about, and I'm curious your thoughts, is, how much do you value like a business that has recurring revenue versus like most of these businesses are like, people come as they go. And yeah, I mean, the revenues are consistent, let's just say, but you're not like getting too much recurring.
So, I mean, recurring revenue obviously is really important, but there's some industries that, like for a gym, for instance, a gym has recurring revenue because you have members, but they could cancel at any time. They could quit at any time. It's so depending on what type of recurring revenue, what type of business it is. Some businesses that have recurring revenue, it's just like a false sense of security.
Got it.
And some are solid.
They're real recurring.
If it's a really solid one, then those are definitely going to go for a lot higher multiple. But just a regular one that people could cancel, or it's not like super long term, I would say those are very similar to any other business.
Got it. So you haven't really pursued trying to do that.
No, but obviously I've talked to if you're on social media right now, you see a lot of people talking about going after that. So it is very good to go after that type of business, but you have to understand that recurring revenue is going to really be recurring revenue for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Neil Patel told me that when I had him on the show, because, we've switched all of our education and lead gen to recurring. And, we'll see. We'll see how long it truly is recurring and what the normal churn is. But it's clearly not going to be as long recurring as, say, a IRA company or a tax business or something like that where people just never leave.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a couple ways to do recurring. You could do recurring where it's not like a whole lot, but like it's recurring for a long period of time. Or you could just do recurring where people are paying a premium, but maybe they are going to quit in a year or 2 years or whatever. So that's the way Alex did it when I bought his. Like it was a recurring revenue that he got, but it was like a super, super high recurring amount, like every single week or every single month.
Yeah.
And then he's had so many people on top of it. So if you could do even a recurring business that you have a ton of quantity of people, then that could be good as if you have a way to keep getting more and more of those quantity people to keep coming in.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, dude, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming to hang out. Where can people find you?
People could find me on YouTube, Abraham Gray, or you could find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. Of course, if you have deals you want to sell me, definitely hit me up on my email, or if you hit me up on any messenger, I respond to every messenger. That's what I do all day. We talked about, but it's mostly emails I look at. But if you send me a message on really anything, I'll then go ahead and send you to my email. I'll be like, all right, email me the deal and I'll look at it. But I look at every deal. Like I'm the one that looks at everything. Although soon I have this person that's been now doing it, but I ultimately will see everything.
Cool. Awesome, bro. Well, guys, go check them out. Make sure you're subscribed here, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Yep.